Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's a nice, actually cool day here in Tennessee. And Ethan and I were talking last night about getting a game plan together on the Lark. There's going to be some things coming up that we want to involve the Lark in. So my 1.5 year build's probably going to be a year build. We'll see how that goes. Primarily because we're going to go back to No Name Nationals next year. And not only will we be bringing one car, we're going to be bringing two. So we got to get a game plan together and start working on this thing. First thing we have to do though is insulate my garage. That way there we're not freezing our butts off like we did last winter. But the game plan is going to be, we're going to be taking the 63 Studebaker Lark to No Name to race against Nolan from Wild Rose Garage and his Lark. As a lot of y'all know that have been following everything on this, Nolan's transmission went out on him and wasn't going to be able to get the parts until like beginning of October, so he was unable to come to the event. So he's going to try to make it for next year. So that means we need to get on the ball with this and kind of give you a game plan of what we're going to be doing. First off, a lot of y'all know, but some of y'all still hitting me with what motor you're going to put in it, put a Chevrolet in it. Not happening. This is going to be a Gen 3 swap. And we'll use Kiwi's motor as an example. That's what's going to be going in the Lark. Now, we're going to be faced with a lot of challenges with this. First of all, we got to get the 170 6-cylinder out of and transmission and figure out which way we're going to go with the engine bay. I know we're probably going to have to cut into the firewall probably maybe a little bit. The inner fender wells are definitely going to have to be trimmed out because this motor's like with the pipes and everything, or the headers on it, is going to be 30 inches wide. So just to give you an idea, I've already got my tape measure set. So that motor being 30 inches wide, there's definitely going to have to be some cutting and trimming and relocating. And some of y'all know that we already have a donor car that we're going to be taking everything out of to try to put into this Lark. So let's go take a walk out back. So anyway, this is the donor car for the Lark. And like I said, we're doing the Gen 3 swap. But there's a lot of good parts on this car that we want to integrate into it. And just kind of give you an idea. This is the 5.7 we're going to be using. I'm going to have to rebuild it. It's got a slight Rodney going on, but I believe we can save her. And we'll probably put a couple of go fast parts in it because she's not really going to be a whole, going to need a whole lot because that Lark is quite a bit lighter than what this 300 is. So we're going to try to use basically everything in here, the radiator. Now the computer system on this thing, we want to keep the integrity of the old dash and use the dash and everything. So we're probably going to be using a Terminator X system to run the motor and the transmission. So we'll see how that works. We're also wanting to integrate the seats and the console into the Lark. So which means since the Lark really needs new floors in it and they're about half rotted out, we're going to try to graft the floor pans and everything out of the 300, because we are going to be using the shifter and everything in it. And this is not the first time something like this has been done, as far as using different floor pans out of a different car for another application. So we're wanting to do that. We're going to try to integrate the back seats with it as well. So it's going to be a trial and error, a lot of cutting, a lot of fitting. And try to use as much of this parts car as we can. The rest of it's going to get parted out. So probably here in the next couple weeks, both these cars are going to be in the garage. This one's going to be getting disassembled down to basically a rolling unibody. We're going to get rid of all the fenders, the quarters, the roof, and what doesn't get sold or that we're wanting to sell is going straight to the junkyard, because I don't have a whole lot of space. So there's our parts car. And like I said, not only are we taking the Lark, but we're taking another car. We're also going to be taking Ethan's SRT8. And so we got a lot of stuff in front of us because he's wanting to do a lot of modifications for this. We got most of the stuff here are ready to do it. Which all that are in these boxes to the bottom left here. And we got the headers hanging on the wall for it. So kind of like disassemble one vehicle, another vehicle, freshen up another one, add some more parts, go past parts to it. So I think we're going to be busy, and probably going to bring some people in and out to help us with it, because, you know, two people only do so much as far as disassembling and stuff. Now, on the Lark, with the motor being wide as it is, it's 30 inches long, so we got 30 inches to play with front to back. The current radiator fitment is not going to work, so we're actually going to be mounting the radiator in front, the front red part of the radiator core support. But the end fender wells are definitely going to have to get trimmed out, if not gone. The steering box is gone, all the steering linkage. So all that's got to be ripped out of this car. Now, the plan right now, which is not set in stone yet, these are just thoughts going through our brains. And but the stock we're going to be coming out, we're going to be putting an 8.8 in it. And they're fairly inexpensive and they're fairly durable. I've talked with some individuals that run the 8.8s, and they're able to handle up to 750 horsepower with no problem when they're built right. And they're a lot cheaper to narrow. So we're probably going to be going that route, just because of the time and money. It'd be a lot cheaper to go that route. And the good thing is too, is we're going to be using the drive shaft from the 300 as well. And most of y'all that are familiar with the Magnums, the Chargers, and the 300 stuff, the drive shaft set up with a carrier bearing in the middle, because the drive shaft actually slides back and forth in the middle of the shaft versus at the transmission. So with us using the NAG 1, we can sit there and incorporate and have a different flange to bolt up to the 8.8. So we'll be able to use that. Like I said, cross member stuff's probably going to have to come out of this car. We're looking towards right now a Mustang 2 front style setup with the rack pinion and everything. But it's going to be a lot of work. So our game plan is get the car stripped down during the winter. Floor pans, grab the floor pans in this, see how it's going to work. We're going to cut everything out of here we can cut out of the way, get the motor. I got a long block I use for mock-up and bolted up to the NAG 1. Get it in there while we get the floor cut out, find out where everything's going to need to be at, what's going to be cut out, what's going to be added. We're definitely going to strengthen the frame up. And then once we do all the modifications to the frame, We're going to clean it all up, take it to powder coat, and get that done. As far as the paint goes on this thing right now, and I mentioned in a couple other videos, we're going to try to save the patina on this. I believe it's going to polish up. Yes, it's a repaint, but it just kind of fits the car right now. Now on the fenders and stuff, I mean, those are going to have to be painted because we're replacing both fenders, the lower rockers. So we're going to try to blend as much as we can to the original paint, and we'll see how it goes. But like I said, the game plan on this is get started on this here next week. Get the 300 donut car in here, start totally disassembling it, and get rid of what we don't need, get it out of the way. Get started on this as far as pulling the motor, transmission out, steering box, and see where we're going to be at with the floor pans. I'm going to have to support the body itself because we will be taking out the frame down the road. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I want to get the floor pan in it now before we take it off the frame. But there's going to be a lot going on, and it could be a lot of changes going on with this build. Like I said, nothing's never set in stone. And but it gives us a good starting point, and we'll see how it goes. When you're custom building and morphing kind of like old versus new, there's going to be a lot of challenges, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, like I said before, I don't know everything. I love to learn, and this is going to be a great experience for Ethan and I. And I got a couple friends that will, like I said, come in and probably help with the disassembly and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. And this is going to be fun. This is why Ethan and I are going to move forward, get cranking on this. And like I said, appreciate everybody's support. And I also want to make an apology to some of my subscribers out there that were kind of miffed at me from my last video, dropping a few F-bombs. I want to apologize about that. I normally don't do stuff like that. And once again, I'm sorry. I'll try to keep it clean and not to drop so many F-bombs. But other than that, guys, I appreciate y'all continued support, you know, by watching the videos. And I appreciate it. Other than that, I'll see you down the road.